Welcome to the Modern Pirate Podcast. My name is Kent Mulligan and today's guest is Ash Keillah. Ash is a surfer from the Gold Coast of Queensland who tragically lost his eye in 2014. Following that incident, Ash has continued to follow his dream as a professional surfer competing on the World Qualifying Series. Ash's story is very inspirational and I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Before we kick this off, we'd like to offer a 20% discount to today's podcast listeners over at the Modern Pirate website. You can find our full range of men's grooming products, which include styling products, natural soaps, body wash, beard products, and much more. Enter the code EP.2 at checkout for a 20% discount store-wide. Ash Keillah, welcome to the Modern Pirate Podcast. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, mate.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Just navigating this wacky time the best I can. Been pretty positive about it all, but yeah, it's kind of strange. How about you?
Yeah, tried doing it with a 6-week-old baby.
I know. I've thought about you a lot. Like it's a lot to think about. How's it been considering the world is in a bit of chaos and you've got to bring in a new baby into this environment? Has it weighed on your mind a lot, or has your life been consumed with dirty nappies and 2 a.m. feeding frenzies?
I think it's honestly all baby. And I think it would have been regardless anyway in this time. Like
For sure.
Me and my wife were planning on sort of being on lockdown for the first 6 weeks anyway and just, learning how to be parents.
Yeah.
So in a way, it hasn't affected us as much, I think.
Cool.
But our little sanity outlet as a family, or as before it was just me and Stacey, but now with our little son Jair, is we love to go to like a cafe, have a coffee, go be social and see friends. So that has been hard, especially so we feel isolated just in this little family bubble, which could be much worse,
Yeah, definitely. But when you when you use those interactions as your social connection, it's you definitely feel there's something missing in your life, don't you?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
But on the flip
and
side,
for us,
sorry, carry on.
No, you go. I was gonna say, for us, our favorite thing, or one of our favorite things, is going to try new spots and new food because we're big foodies. We love to eat, so
definitely.
I think that's our that's also our fun thing because we don't go out and drink. We've gotten past that now, especially with the grommy.
Definitely.
So I think it was all of that good food.
It doesn't look like you're missing out too much on good food and all the treats at home with your skills cooking and producing the goods.
I've probably been a little bit naughty.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, look, I've probably got a little bit, it's almost like a holiday, I haven't been able to be competing with surfing, which I was training for a long time. So I've just had a little holiday and definitely ate a few more hot cross buns over Easter than I planned on.
That's
maybe
good.
A couple of late nights up with our son. I can, call on a pizza instead of make something up myself. So luckily I got a stationary bike in the house. So if I eat real bad at the end of the day, I'm like, I better just even if I've exercised all day, I'll just do another 30 minutes on the bike just to sort of get rid of that excess.
It's understandable. It's definitely a lot harder to stick to your routines when you're tired and you've got a disrupted sleep cycle, and so I can understand that. Hey, let's back up a little bit for the listeners and just let them know who Ash is and our connection. Obviously you and I, we're good mates. We met I think maybe 5 years ago, and we've had mutual friends and some business stuff going on over that time. But in recent years, we've got a lot closer and we've got a lot of similar interests. And I know that I look to you for inspiration from, the things that you've got through in your life, the challenges. And it's something that I, little things that I always sort of remind myself of, when I feel like I need a bit of a pick me up. So let's talk about what some of those challenges are, and how you've sort of got to where you are now, and we can touch on a few of the key things along the way. But obviously, you're a surfer. You grew up in the Gold Coast, northern New South Wales, and prior to an incident, you were following your dream of surfing professionally on the WQS circuit. And then at 24, you had an accident which changed the path of your life. So if you're happy to, let's just touch on that and just dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I guess I was always a surfer. Like from a young age, I was just a frothing grommy, and nothing's really changed. I still love it just as much. I actually just had a surf before we kicked this off.
Nice. Not surprised.
But yeah, not surprised. I'm probably a bit salty still.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where to start. I guess I had like an interesting upbringing, like a lot of people in Australia in the like sort of lower middle class. Had big dreams to go and compete with surfing, and I was always kind of half-assing it. I'd say, like, I'd show up to events not prepared, not the right boards, not really in the best physical shape I could be in, but still had that dream, in the back of my head that eventually I'm just gonna make it all happen. And I think around the year that I had decided I really wanted to be serious about it was the same year I lost my eye.
Okay.
So yeah, I was just at a party in Surfers Paradise. Shouldn't have been there. It's past midnight, as they say. Nothing good happens after midnight.
Definitely doesn't. Yeah.
In between a couple of guys fighting. As I was telling you before we kicked this off, is not many people know this, but I had nothing to do with the fight, and there was just two sort of roided up guys, fired up Surfers Paradise guys. One of them had a knife, the other guy had a glass, and the guy with the glass tried to hit the guy with the knife and got me in the face. And I ended up going through about a year of operations to save my eye, and it wasn't really working. It was sort of half working.
And obviously completely out of the water throughout that 12-month period.
Yes. So I think I had a couple of like very quick surfs, but the remains of my eye would swell up and go bright red and just be super painful. It felt like someone would come and just dump a bucket of sand in my eye. So
wow.
It wasn't doable. Yeah, so that was a tough period, and then it got to about a year mark, and I was talking about doing another operation a year down the track, and I felt I could save my eye or take my eye out and I could be back in the water within a couple months, and I just went, get it out, time to go. But I couldn't see it already anyway, so I'd already been about a year of not being able to see. It was like two different pictures. It was like I was looking through a blurry picture, so it was giving me a headache at the same time. I was just like, out of there, I can get back in the water. And then I was in the water probably even a bit early, maybe after about 6 weeks, I think.
No way.
Did a little backhand turn, and I was like, oh, I'm on. I can surf. I'm back.
Something tweaked.
And
your first surf after the accident, and you did this little backhand Rio. Did something tweak in your mind and think, hang on, there's something here. I can still pursue this. It's not something that I have to give up because of this injury.
Oh, big time. Leading up to that surf, I thought my surfing in general was over for me. I thought I'm not going to go surf anymore. Not competing or anything like that. After doing that little turn, I was like, I can still surf. It's harder, and my depth perception is still not 100%, but I knew from that day I was going to be able to surf, and I was still going to have a life in the ocean. So I felt pretty lucky.
That's pretty empowering. So following that, like, what were some of the things, like, obviously you would have had a really big emotional dip. Like, what were some of the key things that you, that surf obviously was something that, sparked some positive energy, but what were some of the things that really drove you to just push forward? Was it, I don't have a choice, I've just got to accept this? I mean, a lot of people would have pulled their head in and gone into, a pretty dark and deep place. Did you touch on some of those things, or did you kind of get onto a bit of a positive momentum fairly soon afterwards?
Well, for me, I think, because I actually had to deal with my mother's suicide the year before I lost my eye. So I'd already sort of dealt with a big shock, which I felt like I actually handled quite well considering. So when it came to me losing my eye, I'd already had that lesson of I can get through anything. And it just built on that. I was like, okay, I've got through that. I've lost an eye, but lots of other people have lost eyes before. It's not the end of your life. I'm still young. And especially after I did that little backhand Rio when I surfed, I was like, no, I'm on. I'm good to go. And it was a wake-up call for me as well, probably to be, I might have spiraled a little bit after my mother's death, and that would have led me to being out at 3 a.m.
Yeah,
and
sure.
it was kind of like a reality check, a very hard slap in the face, a slap in the eye, you could say. But it started to pull my head in from there. Not to say I didn't ever go out again, because I worked in security and stuff like that, so I was always half out.
In that environment, yeah.
But I would sort of, tone myself down a fair bit more from there. And I'd always sort of have that, even if I did go out, I'd have in the back of my head the guiltiest feeling that I wasn't in bed getting ready for that early surf the next day.
Yeah, sure. And in regards to the physical side of surfing again, was there any change in your balance? Or obviously, you didn't have the same spectrum of vision. So was there any physical changes in your body? Did your other eye overcompensate in some ways, or did you just adjust your style? Like, what was it that actually allowed you to surf at the standard that you're surfing at? Like, you're surfing at a high standard still, competing in world qualifying events with kids that are 18 years old, and you're still holding your own. So what was that physical change?
I would say it was a lot of stuff. For me, it was definitely turning my head that little bit more to try and overcompensate in my turns. But depth perception was the hardest thing to deal with, because I would sort of have to wind up for a turn or try and air or try and get barreled, and I'd be out by about a meter of where I should be doing that thing because I couldn't time it properly. And that's still a problem now, but it's much better. And yeah, I guess the motivation to compete is because I want to keep improving, and I want to show that no matter what injury, what adversity you could have, that you can get through it. And like, I think you were down in Melbourne, and you saw my last QS hit I've done, and that I won it. And I was like, I just beat like 3 guys who are good surfers, who are younger than me, who did way more events in the year than me. And that was my 3rd event competing back in the QS recently. So yeah, I've drawn so much confidence from that. I was actually talking to my wife yesterday about, there's a lot of time for reflection during this coronavirus, and me being home a lot with baby and not just being out and about as usual. And I was thinking, like, I am 35. Is surfing the right thing for me to pursue? And I sat there pretty much the whole day trying to figure out what else would I pursue that I really feel like I loved. And it got me up super early in the morning, wanting to be healthy, wanting to work on my mental game, wanting to work on my diet, my flexibility, my patience, absolutely everything. And surfing's it. Surfing and competing is it. And yeah, I'm 35, but I'm fitter than I was at 25. I'm smarter than I was at 25. I think that I would run rings around 25-year-old me as far as surfing goes. So I've got heaps to work on. I'm not unrealistic that I don't have to, work on my air game and work on surfing bigger waves and all that sort of stuff. But I'm confident that I can work on it.
Hey, and I noticed you had a bit of a meltdown a couple of weeks ago and got out the clippers and shaved your hair. It's actually looking good though.
Not so much.
It's looking good.
It's not so much a Britney meltdown as all the barbers were shut, and I was starting to get a real shaggy mop going on.
Just needed to tidy
it
up.
And then, I was like, because I've still been like running and training and surfing a bit, and my hair was starting to get into my face, and I was like, nah, that's it. Slater's bald, he's fast, gone.
So touching on that, like what's your kind of, do you have a grooming routine? You obviously look after yourself. You're a bit of a social media influencer these days. And
I don't like that word at all.
in a nice way. That's a compliment. But you know, you obviously take care of how you look, and you know, you've got a great look about you. So are you,
mate, I've still got a bit of modern pirate sea salt in my hair right now. Even though I don't have much hair.
Nice. That's great.
I actually like the smell of it.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a sandalwood kind of vibe, and yeah, that bit of sea salt's great for texture. So it's for the dudes that are too lazy to surf and want to look like they've been surfing.
Yeah, that's me too, right?
Yeah. It's definitely for me, being based in central Melbourne and having 2 months in lockdown where we can't drive to the coast. Seeing all your friends that are living on the coast surfing every day and pumping waves, it's been challenging. As of last night, 12 o'clock last night, we're allowed to drive to the coast and surf again.
Oh, epic!
Yep.
Did you go today?
No, but I've scheduled Friday as day off work, long weekend, straight down the coast.
Nice. Yeah.
So
we've been lucky enough that even though we can't travel to Queensland and stuff like that, all in my area, the waves have been good and consistent. So
that's great.
It's been epic.
That's great.
Yeah.
So back to your grooming routine. Are you someone that visits a barbershop, or do you go to a hair salon? What's your normal kind of cleanup situation? Is it a regular thing or a bit of a random one? Do you have a local person that you tend to go to, same person that you tend to go to all the time?
Yeah, so I've got an epic barber in Byron.
Okay.
It's at a shop called Jack the Snipper, and it's a guy named Gabriel. So I actually turned into mates with him. Yeah, cool. Absolute legend.
Cool.
So yeah, he was laughing at me shaving my head, obviously, because he was working on getting my hair to a certain length and looking a certain way. And then he saw on my social media, and he's like, "Mate, what have you done?" But yeah, I'll still see a barber regularly. I like to keep it clean, keep it neat.
Yeah.
And because I do the social media thing, that is great, because I get to surf without having any surf sponsors. Like I'm a top level surfer, you know. Like I'm getting good money through social media.
So in regards to the social media stuff, how did that develop? You obviously were building a profile as a surfer. You know, on Instagram, you're known as the Friendly Pirate for a long time. Currently, still the Friendly Pirate?
Nah, just regular old Ash.
Just
Ash
old
Keillah.
Ash, yeah.
Ash Keillah. Well, I don't wear the eye patch anymore. The eye patch is gone. So.
And the TV show that you did was My Kitchen Rules?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, My Kitchen Rules.
How was that?
It was a fun experience. It was a pretty much out of nowhere experience. I spoke to someone through social media, and within a couple of days, they're coming to film an audition tape at our house. And I think what had happened was the show casting had already shut, but they must have, you know, had a hold of Phil, and maybe a Byron hipstery couple hold of Phil or something like that, or just they wanted the pirate story. And within a month, we were on a show, whereas lots of people, had a lot of time to prep for that show. So I think there was some better cooks in that show than us, but we did all right regardless of the lack of experience.
And so how did you, like, were you guys cooking at home and posting stuff about food? Did you have an interest in cooking? Like, how did it kind of evolve? Or was it more like, hey, you guys want to be part of this, just jump in at the deep end and show us what you can do?
No, I think we were always showing meals that we cook for each other on our social media.
Yeah.
And maybe one of the producers got wind of that and then saw, you know, we were a young, engaged couple who cook for each other a lot, and we're grossly in love, as we still are.
That's awesome.
So I think, I think it was a little bit of everything for us. Like, I think there was a story with me and my background. There's a story of me and Stacey being together. Stacey being super good looking helps us get on TV shows, I'm sure.
All of those things seem to tick all the right boxes. So yeah, that's exciting. Yeah. That's cool. So off the back of the My Kitchen Rules show, you mentioned that the quality of the jobs that were coming your way through the social channels were a little bit better, and you could distinguish and pick and choose what was a little bit more in line with what your values are and the things that you really wanted to focus on.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I was still pigeonholed as like a pirate surfing cook type thing.
Yeah.
But the money got better, which is one awesome thing. Like, if I'm honest, my dream would be to transition that all into complete athlete motivation, wellness, and more of a talking based on my social media rather than just a photo of here's me with the products, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I would love to be in that sort of category, and it'll happen as I keep putting the effort in towards more of as a real athlete, not just as an influencer, you could say.
Yeah, definitely. No, I can see that as well. And obviously you and I have talked about those aspirations you have and the goals that you've got in the wellness space and motivational space. And I think it's something you should really pursue as well. There's a great story there. You've got a really positive message. It's great to see you training, and I think you've got a lot to share with people, and it can transition into lots of different categories as well. So I think that's exciting.
I think that right now I really just want to focus on my ability with surfing and improving with that, and not so much posting all this stuff and posting my training and all that sort of stuff. I want to show a bit more action than words, and sure. I want to show that I'm not just talking shit. I'm putting in the real effort, and it's going to get me real results. And then I think maybe that'll transition into that more of that motivation where it'll feel more legit for me, because I don't want to, tell everyone do this, do that, and I'm not, up in that level I want to be.
I think you're definitely up in that level already, but I think from a self, when you're reflecting on yourself and your own abilities and what you're doing, if you've got goals that you still feel like you need to achieve, then you're going to draw more confidence from that. But I definitely think that you're more than ready to share that story and that message to people. And there's lots of cool things. Like, you look like you really embrace being a father, and you're a great partner.
Yeah.
And there's a really positive message to go forward to a lot of people there. So it's exciting to see where it can go.
And that's part of the reason I've doubled down on my dream of competitive surfing, because I want to be able to show my son when he's older that Dad didn't give up, Dad kept fighting, and Dad got there in the end and chased his dreams. And I want that message to not just be for my son, but I want it to be for a lot of other people as well.
For sure. And what are those dreams, if you don't mind sharing some of the goals that you've got in surfing? I mean, you're surfing at what a lot of people would say is an elite level. Is it about winning contests? Is it about personal achievements? Is it big waves? Is it, what are some of the things, the boxes that you're wanting to tick off?
It's a broad spectrum when it comes to surfing, but the main part for me right now is to start to get into the final series of the WQS events.
Yeah.
Which has so many goals leading up to get there. Like, I need to work on my airs. I need to work on bigger waves. And the problem with bigger waves for me isn't that I'm worried about the waves so much. It's the waves move so much faster. My depth perception doesn't catch up quick enough. So I'm out of position when it gets big, and it's a problem for me. So I'm working on that, as well as just smoothing out my whole game of surfing. But my goal would be to win some QS events, to eventually get in that top 100 on the QS, to get to do the main QS events. And I will keep reevaluating that goal each year.
Yeah, sure.
Each time I make it. So I don't want to sit here and say, I'm going to qualify for the CT next year or anything like that. My goal is to win a QS event, then reevaluate.
Great. I think you're going to do it, mate. What about at the moment? Obviously, the last 6 weeks, your routine would have been really thrown out. What are you doing in regards to training? Do you have any kind of structure to your morning routine? Are you meditating? Are you doing any breath work? Are there any key things that are keeping you emotionally stable? Like you seem really good at the moment. You know, like you seem like you've got a really good flow going, and you know, I'm sure it's, you know, despite the COVID stuff and the craziness, having a new baby can be challenging. So what's going on with your routine at the moment?
Well, my routine had to become way more flexible after having Jaya. I couldn't, before Jaya, I was like, at this time I've got this training, at this time I've got this. I had to sort of take a step back from working with coaches and trainers as much and working on what I already knew benefited me. So then I could fit it in at the times I wanted to or when I could, rather than, So my basic routine is, so luckily Jaya actually wakes up about 5:30 after a fairly big sleep. So he'll be feeding and I can get up and I'll make the family, I'll make the wifey coffee. We'll have a big glass of water, a coffee, we'll have a little chat, and then I'll get to go for a surf straight away, which is, I've found, has been the best way to start my day, because if I end up getting caught in the housework or doing other errands, I'll put it off, and I won't end up surfing for the day, and I'll be kicking myself at the end of the day that I haven't got my important, you know, sort of, that's the most important training for me at the end of the day. Is
and a good way to start the day. It's great for your headspace, obviously, and you get in the morning sunshine and in the ocean, and you can come back and feel like you've achieved something early.
Yeah, and then I've got, because I've worked with so many coaches and trainers, I've got some weights routines and some body weight routines that I can go through. So I'll alternate them every second day to try and get some strength. And then on top of that, I'll probably, I'd say I run twice a week, but I'm on the bike 6 nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, to try and keep the cardio up, because like I have slipped in my diet a few times over the last 6 weeks just with the lack of sleep.
Needing something.
A few stronger coffees as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say a basic day would be a surf, come back, try and have some family time, cook breakfast, clean the house, because wifey does all the feeding at night. So I'm kind of on duty during the day of keeping the house running a bit smooth. So I'll do that. I'll come back, I'll clean the house, I'll try and have some time with the family. Ideally, now that I've decided to really double down on competing with surfing, I'll try and watch a bit of surfing. I'll watch some old comps to try and get in the zone, because that helps me a lot.
And around that, are you working with anybody in regards to strategy around your contest preparation, or is that something that you've just, you've developed, experience over the years, obviously yourself, but is there any kind of structure to that? And the same with your training, is it periodic? Is it like do you have a periodic approach to it? Are you doing kind of blocks of certain training, or is it,
right now it's a little bit more random, but I just kind of like gauging myself how I'm feeling. But once the contests get announced again, and once I know when they're going to be, I'll start to get more of a structured routine on when I'm training, how I'm training, and stuff like that. Okay. Basically, I'm just keeping myself maintained as well as I can, as well as I know how to do on my own.
Yeah, yeah.
And then prioritizing being in the water as much as I can as well.
For sure. Yeah, and it's like you say, with the routine being thrown out. I mean, I personally have noticed that. Obviously, I can't go to my gym, and yeah, it's more about just ticking the boxes. Okay, I've done this today. I've done some body weight stuff, or I've got weights at home. I can do some things, but yeah, it's definitely, I wouldn't say it's structured at all. It's just get this done and keep consistent is more the key at the moment.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised I haven't gained more weight over the last couple of months. I thought with my bad sleeps and obviously probably when I say I eat bad, it's pretty rare that I do, but I hang on to that. I'm like, I had that pizza a week ago. I shouldn't have done that.
I definitely do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it can be good. If occasionally,
but 99% of my diet is very clean.
Sure.
It's very clean. It's like lean, grass-fed meats. It's organic vegetables. It's, you know, free-range eggs. I use a lot of like probiotic foods now, like sauerkraut and kimchi.
Great.
So I'd say 99% of my diet is really good, but wifey doesn't mind baking as well, so she's got me hooked on her top tip cookies. But she makes them with like 80% dark chocolate, and she kind of makes a healthy version. They're not like store-bought crappy ones, you know.
No, that's great. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get sidetracked on those things, but look, I think the key is whole foods and you know, allowing yourself to enjoy those times that you do have something that's, you know, probably a little bit outside of your normal scope of eating. But again, if you're using good produce and yeah, I think it can be beneficial to just give your you know, yourself something to enjoy and share. And there's definitely a lot of research around, you know, how we eat, not just what we eat. So, you know, eating something that may be, you know, what we would call not as healthy, but still healthy. But if you eat that or drink that, like wine, in the right context in a social environment, it has less of a negative impact on you, which is kind of weird to think as well.
Of course. And like, and I definitely understand that. And even when I say I eat bad, it's not a Pizza Hut pizza. It's a pizza from our local wood-fired guy who makes his own sourdough bases, and everything's organic ingredients on top of it. It's like drizzled in amazing olive oil. But even still, in my head, I'm like, oh, that was a pizza.
I did that on Sunday night. Actually, I had my daughter over, and she's like, let's cook pizza. And I haven't eaten pizza for so long. But again, you know, we bought really good quality flour and, you know, organic ingredients. And it was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. But it's, you know, it's like, that's the first time I've done that in a while. And I think it's important to give yourself a little bit of a break and let yourself enjoy those things as well. So it's
well, Stacey can call me out and say I'm acting a bit manorexic. But it's honestly, obviously, because I care so much, not about so much about how I look, it's about how I'm going to perform the next day. So now if I eat a lot of heavy stuff and then I try and surf and my timing's out even more and it affects that whole next day, that's where I'm conscious of.
I agree. And I think that's the same for me. It's definitely not a superficial thing. It's, you know, I've worked out at 45 years old what things trigger a negative response in my body. And, you know, food is ultimately one of the key things that I've narrowed down on: food and booze. And like, you know, I don't drink a lot, but I do notice even when I do have like a clean, natural, organic wine, you know, if I have a couple of glasses a night consecutively, you know, it starts to have a negative impact on my cognitive function and my mood. So for me, it's more about, you know, eating a clean diet is, you know, equates to, you know, having optimal performance and getting the shit done that I need to get done. You know, I'm very busy and I don't want to be wasting a day because I ate some crap food that's, you know, causing inflammation in my body and brain fog and, you know, potentially, you know, gut distress. So it's, like as an athlete or somebody that wants to be performing and improving, it's, I think it's such an underrated area of attention, gut health, and, you know, all the little things that feed off what you put in your body, and the neurotransmitter response from your stomach, the serotonin that's also triggered through enzymes in your stomach. It's, you know, it's important to be conscious of what you're putting in there and how it's affecting you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like I said, obviously, you know, because of how much you train, but you can get real life test results. You can eat something one day and find out the next day if it was for you or not, or even the next hour if you're meant to be having it, even without going to get your bloods tested or anything like that. Just going off feeling, you know pretty fast what works for you and what doesn't.
Definitely.
Like just like that, we were meant to actually be fasting today, but that didn't work out, did it?
Well, I did pretty well. For anyone listening, Ash and I are doing intermittent fasting, and we're both probably a little bit off track lately. I generally try and do a 24-hour fast at least every second week. And I know you've done a couple of bigger ones. You've done a few 72. Have you done a 72-hour one?
Yeah, I usually do. I try and do 72 every couple of months.
Yeah.
And then I'll do just a 24-hour every maybe 3 weeks.
Sure.
But yeah, the plan was to do a 24 starting last night.
Leading up to this chat today. I did it right. I had my last meal yesterday at 5:30 and then rode through. I had a black coffee this morning, which again can enhance that the fasting state in your body and speed up some of that cellular cleanup. So black coffee with nothing in it. And then, I got to about 2 o'clock. I was feeling good, but I just thought, fuck, I don't want to be chatting to Ash and just be thinking about that nice grass-fed sirloin steak that I've got on my fridge. So it was more about a distraction thing than anything. Look, I think once you get past that, those sort of the first morning hours, I find that's the hardest time, where I'm used to having something that's a little bit more-ish and satiating in the morning. So I think when you get through that, like, you start feeling good, and like it's insane, isn't it? The cognitive enhancement of fasting, the burning those ketones in your brain, and it's very good.
And I know a lot of people sort of say try and like back off exercise and stuff when you're fasting, but I've been 3 days into a fast and surfed the best I ever have.
Yeah.
I felt light, so switched on. Just, it was like another level. I never felt like that before. It's like having 5 coffees, but without the coffee anxiety.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think exercising is fine. It's more on how you feel. If you're losing energy and you're not hydrating properly, then maybe you have challenges. But if you feel good, just do it.
Yeah. So I failed pretty miserably on this fast. I didn't know if I was going to admit it, but so I had my last meal at 5 last night.
Yeah.
But Jaya was a bit of a terror all last night. So I was up, I was up most of the night, and then my wife was actually up feeding all night, so I shouldn't be complaining.
No.
But yeah, so I was up most of the night, and I got up 5:30.
It's a good It's a good excuse, mate. You don't have to justify it. Like, it's totally totally acceptable.
So I was already on the back foot when I woke up, but I went for a little light run at like a couple of K, and then I had a surf for probably 2 hours.
Wow.
And when I got in from the surf, I was starting to burn out.
Yeah, famished.
I had a coffee, but I think I ate porridge at about 11 o'clock. So I cracked earlier than you today.
That's good. That's a great effort, though. I think even just hitting that sort of 12 to 14 hour mark is, that's a sweet spot. If you're consistent with that, I think you can get a lot of benefits from that as well. And the cellular autophagy, the cleanup of the cells starts kicking in around the 12 to 14 hour mark. So yeah, you're definitely getting the benefits even at 12 to 14 hours, which to a lot of people sounds like a lot. Like, but most people are eating till late at night or before they go to bed, or they're continually snacking. So they're getting that sort of insulin spike, and they don't get that break in the cells to clean out and detoxify. So it's it's something I'll definitely want to be a bit more strict about, because I know when I'm doing it regularly, it's you feel amazing, and the inflammation in your body goes so quickly, and it's very good.
Yeah, I'll notice that if I've maybe been slipping up with the diet or just haven't done a fast for a while, my ankle will start to feel like it's swelling up.
Okay, interesting.
It's an old injury I've got. I've torn ligaments in it before, and it feels like it's fully healed, but that's my indication that I need to do something different.
Wow. Yeah, it's I think that those are the key things. I've got a bit of a niggly shoulder as well, and I notice when I'm doing my fasting, it's much better.
Well, mate, I might have to get to some dad duties. I think I've got some dad duties.
All right, mate. Well, hey, thanks so much for your time. And just quickly, Ash, where can people track you down? Like, what's your Instagram handle? Do you have Facebook, or are you on any other platforms?
just all through Instagram at the moment. So it's just Ash Keillah. It's ASHKEILLAH. Easy to find. You can check out my little fam, a few surf shots, bit of cooking, perv on my hot wife, whatever.
Unreal. Well, hey, we really appreciate the chat, and it's just keep up the positive momentum you got. Like, you're well on your way to hitting these goals that you want to achieve, and it's always a pleasure to see you happy and doing well and sharing your life with your new family, mate. It's really inspiring. All right.
Cheers, mate.
See you, mate. Thanks for listening to the Modern Pirate Podcast. If you like what you heard, please head over to iTunes now to subscribe to the show and leave us a rating and review. Want to talk more about this episode, suggest a guest, or offer feedback? Please head to our Instagram page, modern_pirate, or swing by the website to sign up for our semi-weekly newsletter at modernpirate.com.au. Thanks again, and stay salty.